let's swim away with a bite size of Flow. That is a Latvian movie that came out. I watched it a few days ago, but I was kind of like busy and distracted with other stuff that I think it was kind of like a good time for me to talk about it. And well, I never knew too much about the movie, but I did saw a few trailers here and there. And well, is to put the gist of it, it's about a cat who then it gets involved into with a flood, and then it climbs into a boat that is that progressively is filled with animals. So it's kind of like a journey through water involving the cat, capybara, some dogs. One dog in particular is kind of like is the protagonist. A lemur. There is a bird, but I can't say for sure what kind of bird it is, and a whale. And let me tell you, that movie was excellent. I really liked that movie. It was great, but it also breaks my heart. That is probably one of the most heartbreaking movies I have seen, especially because since I am a big fascinated with cats. Oh my god, this poor cat. This poor cat. This is one of those movies in which it gives you kind of like the Bambi effect really big, because the whole journey and the way the animals act, especially in the point of view of the cat, they all act, of course, in accordance to their instincts, and you can tell that the animators that they took their time to know how animals behave, they kind of work. Also, they give them a little bit of some anthropomorphism in their behavior, some human thought, but they do it great, especially because because the movie has absolutely no dialogue. There's no narrator. The animals doesn't talk. They just they do their animal voices. They talk, they grunt, and all this stuff. And man, that looks good. And speaking of looking good, I know that I shouldn't say about animation, but because that it's obvious. But this is kind of like one of those exceptions in which I do have to say that this kind of shows that sometimes you don't need kind of like big realism to make something beautiful. I know that the graphics is not exactly kind of like big, they look realistic or something like that, and kind of makes more look like a Nintendo Switch game, but it takes it into its advantage and it makes it up for it because it makes it brings up some style into it, as well. That you can tell that it brought up the beautiful scenery in which there's water, the environment. You can tell the environment, the lighting. Sometimes it gets a little bit too surreal, but it also builds up the ambience that is kind of like a mystery in which it showcases probably what kind of world is it, but it brings many questions to answer, in which it sounds like a bad thing, but it kind of lets the audience put the pieces together of what could possibly happen in the world. Is this post-apocalyptic? Because there's clearly some kind of human civilization, but we never see them and we don't know what happened. I've been hearing people that this is kind of like more like a environmental film, and you know what, it doesn't show up into your face, and I can see where it goes, and if that works, it really works. And in personal perspective, again, oh my god, this movie is so heartbreaking because of the cat. One of the worst things that I can always witness is seeing a cat suffer. And this movie is kind of full of it, and because I don't know, there's something cute about the cats that makes my heart break. And during the whole movie, it's like, oh my god, this poor cat! Come on, please, cat. Not that I got problem with the other animals, but the other and I and I kind of failed to mention that even the animals had kind of like their own personality. Like the cat is kind of like is independent, but also learning about what is happening. The dog is pretty happy-go-lucky. The capybara is almost like the straight captain of the whole thing. The lemur has kind of like this obsession of collecting glass materials, and the bird is kind of like motherly, I'll say, until it becomes exiled from its own what was the name of a flock? I think it was called flock. That when it was a group of birds, and the movie keeps going on, and it's showcased, with the scenery. Oh yeah, there's a whale also. I think I forgot to mention the whale, but I'm not gonna say too much. You just go along, kind of like like a journey in which it's kind of reminiscent to Life of Pi. If you kind of instead of humans, you just it's about animals. You'll see them, trying to survive. The odds, trying to also get their food. Sometimes getting unwanted guests. It's mostly the animals trying to cooperate in order to survive. There is a sense of how can I say uh, hyperbole, or sometimes there's kind of like one particular moment in which it was almost like, what in the world happened? I'm not gonna exactly tell you what happens, but I will tell you that apparently rapture happens. The rapture happens in one occasion, and I was like, what was that about? What was that about? But still, it was a great movie. But jeez, this poor cat. I'm sorry to say this for the most things, but oh my god. But seriously, this movie, it really made me want to jump to the screen and save those animals, especially give a hug to this poor cat, because my god, what the journey of this cat. Hug your pets, people. Hug your cats.